so sick of this weekend. I don't even want to hear.
Welcome back to This Takes the Cake. Happy birthday. to
Yes,
This
happy
Takes the
birthday.
Cake.
1 year.
One whole year of podcasts.
I can't believe it.
Did you know we've done almost 50 podcasts? Or I guess at this point we've
This
done
is
50.
the 50th.
That's crazy.
That's something to celebrate.
I know.
Kudos to Peyton.
Yeah, shout
'Cause
out to our producer.
We wouldn't have the podcast without Peyton.
Not at all. She literally runs the show, does everything for it. So shout out to Pate for taking on another huge project for us.
For sure.
It's been really fun. In this episode, we kind of just wanted to recap everything that we've done this year, everything we've talked about, kind of some successes and some funny moments on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot.
There's some good stuff.
There's been some crazy ones. Can we add clips of what people have said? And that's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our producer said no.
She said no.
Yeah, so we're going to recap our favorite moments and get into it.
Okay. Where do we want to start? Oh, you're going to hand it to me?
Yeah, I'm going to hand it to you.
Okay, perfect. I love it. This must be, the first one must be about me. No, I'm kidding. We had our first podcast hate comment.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
That was honestly, I love when we have haters.
So I had one last night that actually happened, but it wasn't on the podcast. It was on my personal.
Damn.
And I guess this is appropriate to say, I don't know. It was one about to join the franchises, you have to have, college degree and all these things. And somebody, obviously it's a fake account. They put, you have to have fake titties and fake spray tan.
Not the titties.
Yeah. And so I sent it to the group text last night for all of us. And Sarah T said, well, I wish I had fake boobs.
No, literally. Does it come with the franchise? Because I'm down.
Extra $5,000, you can get that incorporated. 6 weeks prior to wedding season because you have to lift things.
Yeah, you have to go through PT. Yeah, it's a whole thing. No one knows this about us.
But what was our first podcast hate comment? Do you remember?
So, interesting things have happened in the past 5 seconds.
We were looking at our first hate comment. Apparently, we have more hate comments.
We have more hate comments. I'm going to read it out loud.
But they say when they're talking about you, it means that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So
we're doing it right. We talk about crazy things, and if it's about you, then maybe don't be crazy.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Oh, I do remember the first hate comment. I think it was a past employee.
Do you want me to read you this?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, we'll go back to that. Okay, this says, as a bride, this is awful. Not only do they attack literally normal things like DIY centerpieces for no reason, they also are so disorganized in presentation. I really hope future clients realize they're opening themselves up to being trash talked. There's more. Trash talked publicly before hiring this company for events.
Oh, that was really sweet of them.
Yeah, I hope they do realize that.
I hope they have a better day.
Me too.
Yeah.
And maybe you shouldn't have DIY centerpieces.
Apparently their mom didn't teach them, if they don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Don't say it at all.
Yeah. So the other first hate comment was about you shouldn't talk about. Did you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
The title is You Are the Stalker.
You are the stalker. Yeah.
It says.
No, actually, they watched it.
No, yeah.
And I've never. We'll keep going. Sorry.
They said, I don't know why you're talking about past employees' personal relationships. I think it's very unprofessional, and you continue to stalk because problems for past employees. Oh. You continue to stalk and cause problems for past employees. Move on, loser.
Okay, thanks.
Anyway, thank you. Next. I think that's hilarious. If you're taking the time out of your day to, listen to our podcast, which is hey, by the way, it's voluntary. You don't have to.
Yeah, no, totally.
And also, take time to comment on it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that
Thank you. I thank you for spending your time on us.
Appreciate it. I hope you're watching this one, too.
I hope you are.
For our second hate comment. Well, I guess we'll start with the biggest thing, obviously, where we expanded this year.
Yeah.
New York City.
Huge.
Woohoo.
So good.
Tampa, Florida.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Caroline. Shout out to Caroline.
I know.
She's a podcast OG.
Woo-woo. We miss you, Caroline.
Miss her.
Aspen and Vail, Colorado.
Yes, my girl.
And the most recent, Reno and Lake Tahoe.
Woohoo!
Yay.
She's sitting over there. That's what we're looking at. Just hanging out with us today.
Getting her training for being on her first podcast.
It's huge. It's a lot in 1 year. Let me speak English. It's early. Is that the most you've signed in a year? I mean,
Probably.
yeah.
But they were spaced
That's
out,
crazy.
which was good.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all at once because
That's amazing.
That's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
We're getting bigger and
Kudos to S&B. Well, let's talk about it. We went to Vegas.
We did. We went to Vegas. We did podcast in Vegas.
We did do a podcast in Vegas.
Peyton brought all of our gear, and Sarah, you did a podcast with a makeup artist in Vegas.
I did, yes.
She was so cool.
Yeah, she was awesome.
And then did we do another one there?
Hannah and
with,
Alyssa did
Hannah
one
and
as
Alyssa
well.
did one, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Are we doing that this year? Are we going to Vegas?
I don't think so. I think we're going to skip a
We're
year.
going to branch out. It's a lot.
We're doing a retreat.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Oh, we should do a retreat podcast.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
I don't know what it'd be about.
I can get those other mics. It'll be multiples.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like a live like quiz or something fun, a special, if you will.
Oh my God, we had so much this past year. We launched a new website.
Yes.
And when we say website, I guess technically not everyone knows, but when you click on it, it's another website to that city. So it's like 14 websites.
Yeah, there's a lot all in one. Speaking of Peyton having a lot to do.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, we're going to start a podcast. Can you add that to your list? Like,
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Obviously, we started a podcast Instagram too, which has been super successful.
It's hilarious. If you guys don't follow it, it's like a meme account for wedding planning.
It really is.
It's really funny. We were talking about this before we started the podcast, that sometimes I'll see the content that like Peyton makes randomly on my For You page, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny, and I'll repost it, and then I'm like, oh, that was S&B.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so good at our jobs.
I love it.
But same with the podcast Instagram. I'll see it, and I'm like, that's hilarious and so true, and then I realize it's us. It's Peyton that made that.
Right.
So
yeah, no, they're really fun to see those pop up as well. Here, you want to touch on some other ones?
Some other successes.
I may have skipped some through there. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So we did have, and I was at one of them. Well, actually, I was at both. 2 of the most expensive weddings in S&B history.
Yes, they were.
They were over $500,000.
They were.
And you really have to try to get there.
I know, right? Unless you bring in like celebrity like artists to sing or something.
No, yeah, they were huge and so beautiful.
Definitely what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a milestone.
Yeah, there you go. Milestone for S&B.
It's not something I knew that we wanted, but once it happened, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to be a part of for sure.
Yeah. And it's cool to show that we can do something like that, because like, bring it on. Anyone else who wants to.
And then we can go back to normal weddings.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much more fun to spend all that money.
Yeah, literally.
And just dream.
Exactly. Another crazy thing that happened at an event this year, we'll go through a few of them, but one of my favorites was at the New Year's Eve party when we had a completely nude model.
From Vegas, right?
Yeah, I think she was from Vegas. And she had sushi all over her. I guess you put the sushi on.
I'm pretty sure she was enjoying some other illegal activities.
She was under the influence of a few other things.
Not alcohol.
No.
I don't know. Maybe she was just
something that's legal in Vegas that's not legal here. And guests were loving it. Like,
and I remember she was so cold. She was like shivering.
Freezing. And I let her get down from she was on a table, just like a cold normal table, and I was like, you can go ahead and get down like 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
And then she was like, thank you so much. She was freezing.
And we got hand warmers out of the emergency kit,
which I never usually use those, but I'm glad we had
But we were
them.
inside, guys. We weren't outside.
No, I think it was just
she had no clothes on.
She was just naked and had cold fish on her.
I remember you came. So we had her like in this little nook area, which you just had to walk back there.
Yeah.
Which is very like weird. I remember you saying like, she's got nothing on.
She has nothing on.
You were like, I think you came back. You were like, I think we're gonna put some Saran wrap.
Yeah, no, because like literally, what are you gonna? I mean, you can't just eat off. I guess you can eat off of someone's naked body, but all we had to put on there was leaves, like banana leaves.
Yeah, banana leaves.
And so I was like, maybe we should like Saran wrap her or something.
Did you eat any of that sushi?
Hell no.
Yeah,
Did you?
No.
I ate some off of the tray that they were putting it on her with,
Right.
but I didn't eat any off of her. Another crazy thing, and we're going to go through quite a few just to highlight, but there was an officiant who in his ceremony speech, like in his beginning before the blessing and everything, mentioned how everyone apparently everyone thought that it would be him and the bride getting married. The officiant and the bride.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't at this wedding, apparently.
No, yeah. So he had this whole long, he wanted to say, he was a friend of the bride and groom, and he wanted to say a few words for both of them. And the words were mostly about the bride, like how much he loved the bride, how kind she is, sweet she is, perfect, amazing, beautiful. His girlfriend's in the crowd, by the way. And her wife even, I don't remember. And he, in that speech, he was like, everyone thought it was going to be us, but I'm so glad it was the fiance, the husband. Yeah. These are the things we see.
I don't know how to take that one.
How about someone not paying for anything for their wedding?
So I appreciate this happening.
Please tell.
It sparked another business venture for us.
Tell me.
And basically, it's how to get a loan for your wedding. So I appreciate them bringing this to my attention.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the craziest stories. It was.
I don't think we've talked about this on podcast.
No, we
at all.
haven't. And so it was a client. She wasn't my client. She was somebody else's client.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's one of the girls, they're the lead. Like I don't involve myself. You know, I don't unless like
we need help writing an email or like we need to bring her in.
Exactly. Or is this? Are you okay if I send this? No, I'm kidding. So long story short, the lead planner came to me and she was like, "Hey, she still owes money to this person." And I was like, "Oh, no, they owed us money, but it wasn't like too much to really worry about.
Just like a normal payment."
Yeah. And so I was like, "It's fine. You know, they can bring a check in on Thursday, prior to the wedding." And then she was like, "Oh, well, they owe the caterer and they owe the rentals and they owe the venue." And like, I was like, OMG. I was like, "Well, how much is it?" So she pulled up the aisle planner for the budget and it was like $40,000. I was like, "Oh, red flag, red flag." I mean, we're like 48 hours before the wedding.
No, it was, literally 48 hours before the wedding.
Yeah.
You owe $40,000.
Yeah, $40,000. And I mean, I don't know who just really normally has $40,000 just
Not
hanging.
me, sister. I wish.
Right. So I was like, oh boy. So I was like, okay, let me call mom. And so I was really real with mom. She was like, we got it. We're going to bring a check. And I'm like,
You can't.
So yeah, I'm like, check doesn't work anymore. Check. I don't know if it's good money, whatever.
Can you even write a check for that much money?
Well, yeah, but it won't clear immediately,
Yeah, no, you're not going to actually pay people. It's just going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the mom, I think I talked to the bride at one point, and then the mom was in tears. But to recap back, the mom and the bride had not communicated about what was due. And that's really where this all like tumbled.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, of course, if it was my daughter and me and my husband, her father or whatever wanted to make sure everything's taken care of, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's what mom and dad did. So
bless them.
So on and on. I'm not making it sound as good as it was when it was happening, but in the moment I was like, OMG. So I said, the only way that your daughter's going to have the wedding is if you wire me all the money. Mm-hmm. And she was concerned at this point that I was just going to take the money.
Right, because
no, ma'am, I'm
built
actually,
this business from taking people's money.
Yeah. I said, no, ma'am. What? I said, actually, I'm the one that's helping you right now because everybody's, oh, that's what it was. They went to deliver the rentals. And I was like, no. Like, you can't set up and unload, and the venue wouldn't allow them to unload until they were paid. Which, in hindsight, thankfully,
yeah.
So this was Thursday.
Oh my God.
Thursday at 4:00. Their bank was closed. I didn't know a bank that closed at 4. Well, I Googled it. It closes at 4.
Oh, okay. So it was legit.
It was legit. And so I sent her all the wire instructions. She didn't know what the heck to do with that. So the next morning, Friday morning, this is what got me. Remember the alert text message that went out?
She scared the shit out of us. So I was.
You were out of town.
I was out of town.
Yeah.
I was out of town. I was an hour behind you guys, but I'd still wake. I'd woken up early and I was with my girlfriends in Texas and no one was awake, but I got a text from Sara in our group message that said, "Nobody come in," or something like that. Or don't come in
the office. Or
don't
something.
come to the office. And then like 5 minutes later, she said, you said something else in the same like vein of like, "Don't come in, LOL."
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, what the fuck?
What is going
so I text
on?
Caroline. Caroline's already calling Sara, like, are you okay? Are you alive? Because Caroline's more paranoid than I am. I was like, what's going on?
So it was the one morning, Sarah G. It was her first
It was her
week.
first week, yeah. She was very
And she
new.
got here early, you know. It's your first week,
Yeah.
first impression. You want to be early. And so in the moment, this client texted me and said, we're headed your way. And I'm thinking, for what? I'm not the bank. I can't wire the money.
Yeah,
like,
what?
why are you headed my way? So in the meantime, I get a call from Sarah G. And so these clients have now lied.
Yeah.
They're not on the way.
They're there.
They're sitting and they've walked into the office.
Yeah, no.
And at this point, you don't know what anybody's capable of doing. I mean, I've told them their daughter can't have their wedding unless they pay.
Yeah.
So they just go take me out. That way they could have it. I don't really know. So,
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I text my boyfriend. I was like, and my dad was in town. I said, both head to the office. Because I didn't know, you know. And I was driving to the office. So when I was on the phone with Sarah G, I said, listen to me really carefully. You're going to grab your purse and your keys, and you're going to tell them you have to go to a meeting, and you're going to walk out.
Poor Sarah G.
Yeah,
So
she's
scared.
like, and I'm like, don't say anything, just act normal. Don't rush out of here. You know, tell them you have a meeting. So anyway, so we got them to leave. But they said they came here to print a piece of paper. But wouldn't you say, hey, I'll be at your office in about 5 minutes. I really need you to print the paper so that we can go to the bank.
Yeah, or go to Office Depot.
Or the bank, or wherever you needed to go to do the wire.
Literally anywhere else.
So this is at like 8:45, and they'd got to the office at 8:33. So they were already sitting here when Sarah G walked in. So they already knew that she was in here.
Yeah.
And of course, it probably really confused them. These people don't know what I look like, and Sarah is Sarah. So they're
Yeah,
like, "We're here
there's
for Sarah."
A lot
Sarah's
of
like-
Sarahs. We have to preface.
and Sarah's like, "You're probably not looking for me."
Yeah, she's like, not the right Sarah.
Thank goodness. So, make a long story short, the day before Thursday, I said, I got to have the wire by 10 a.m. And I'm not exaggerating. I think it was like 9:50, the wire
We were
hit.
counting down. Like, I was getting live updates from Caroline. Like,
Yeah.
we have no wedding. We have no wedding. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, I'm going to set up.
Yep.
Like,
And the wire hit, so I started writing checks out to all the vendors.
crazy.
And I did that for the goodness of them to be able to have a wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, or they
And
wouldn't have had a wedding.
Yeah, no. And it wasn't like a malicious act. They were nice people. It was just like, this is why we tell you guys to talk about who's funding what for the wedding. And
That
like,
should
be
be your
open
very
about
first
it.
conversation.
Yes.
This
yeah.
is our budget, and who's paying this, and when are you paying it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that
is crazy.
caused a lot of stress.
That was crazy.
And I mean, I hate to say it, like, that's probably at the end of the day, 5 years, 10 years from now, they'll probably be like, remember we owed all this money the day before our wedding?
I mean, it's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be
Right?
funny for us to think back on. It's gonna be hilarious for them.
Yeah.
I
So,
hope.
but they really had an epic ceremony reception.
Yeah.
I remember Caroline texting. She's like, "Oh my God, this is the best wedding ever."
Yeah,
So,
she was. They were
it was
nice
awesome.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a crazy beginning.
So crazy.
How about you having to play mother of S&B and go to take over another wedding for someone else?
Right. So, I mean, not all personalities mesh,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, it's just like when you date people, it works or it doesn't work. And
Exactly.
so, the same thing with clients. And I think there had just been, I think they were too much of the same person of like trying to make it work. So, obviously, we're here in the best interest of our clients. Whatever we do, need to make it right. And I did step in for a wedding. And I mean, honestly, I said all the right things she wanted to hear.
Yeah, at that point it was just like,
Whatever we needed to do
Yeah.
to make it happen, and it was pretty intense. So it was like 3 weeks before the wedding. I had to book a flight.
Yeah.
I had to get there. I had to go see the venue, do a walkthrough.
yeah,
And I mean,
settle tension, make sure they weren't gonna like
yeah.
cancel or leave or whatever.
And it was a good experience for me to experience too. Like, for instance, if you girls get thrown into a wedding, like you're like, oh, I've never been there. I don't know what to do. When I was in the same,
yeah,
boat, I'm like, I don't even know any of these vendors.
yeah,
And half these vendors didn't speak English. So I remember grabbing one of the band guys who spoke both English and Spanish, and he had to like translate some
for
things
you?
for me. Not for the client, but for some of the vendors. I was like, wow, this is like very difficult to tell a vendor like where to go and what to do.
yeah.
But it was definitely a cool experience to be able to come in, basically save the day. I mean, not that anything was wrong with like the planning and
No,
stuff.
it was genuinely just like
I
personalities.
think
yeah,
absolutely 1,000% just personalities. And I mean, that's happened, I think, with all of us.
I've been broken up with before with clients,
Yeah.
as we know.
You have.
I don't know if we talked about it.
Should we talk about them? I think we should definitely talk about
So I
that
had
one.
a really interesting client. Similar thing. I had Sarah very involved. Like you said earlier, you don't usually involve yourself in like our
If it's your
whatever
client,
we're leading.
yeah, of course.
But like I needed severe help with this because they were becoming an issue for me, and our personalities weren't meshing well. Communication was bad. They were having a huge wedding.
Not communication on our end. They just wouldn't respond back.
Yes, exactly. But then when they did respond, they would say that we weren't doing our jobs or responding. There was a lot of accusatory talk. And Sarah had to get involved and basically be like, okay, we've done all this work, you either pay us at this point or we're out.
Yeah.
And like, it was a lot of that for like a month long. It was that.
It was.
And then finally they were like, we don't feel safe or comfortable
Yeah, we don't feel
working
safe.
with you
Okay.
guys. All right, bye.
Bye.
Have a good wedding.
But then I remember, I think it was the day after the wedding, we stalked to see the wedding.
Yeah, that night we were sending each other stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, do you see this?
And I just loved how, like, the chairs are so cringe about it. They weren't even straight. They were, some were 6 inches apart, some were 2 feet apart.
Yeah.
Like
God knows what happened through that day. I'm glad they got married.
Same.
I'm glad it happened. But
I hope they had somebody to help them.
I hope so too, because it was big.
Yeah.
And
it was
there
like
was
a
a
17-hour day they wanted us to work.
Yes. Yeah.
So I told them we needed A team and B team.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I had to explain to them, like,
Yes.
we should tell people that.
We had to break it down.
So I like to give people analogies when we're doing things, and they just couldn't grasp and understand of why they wanted to do it their way.
Yeah. A lot of people don't take this job seriously. Like,
They don't.
my grandparents don't even understand that I work a 9-to-5 job. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no. This is like a real job, guys.
Exactly.
Like, some people just don't get it.
So I remember, we can say the dad was a doctor.
Yeah.
And sometimes doctors and, the common sense is maybe.
Yeah, they're very realist.
Yeah, exactly. And so, which is fine.
Yeah.
They see things way differently. So I
Yes.
broke it down for him, and I said, pretend like you're in surgery, and the anesthesiologist you've never worked with, you've never worked with the nurse, you've never worked with your 2 other people that are going to help you be doing the surgery, and you're going to do an open heart surgery for 8 hours, and you think it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Because basically it was saying, like, us as a team, we're just going to show up day of, and we're going to be able to know what to do.
At this point, they were out of hours for us to keep planning,
Yeah.
so they wanted us to just save the hours they did have for us to show up on the day of the wedding.
Yeah.
Not even come for rehearsal.
Yeah.
They were like, just save them for that. Well, that, like you said, it'd be like a doctor showing up and not knowing any of his crew, anything. And they finally started to understand, and still it was like out the window.
Right.
They just want to do it their way, and we were like, okay, well,
Yeah, it's not going to
bye,
work.
we're out. That was the first time I'd broken up with a client. I'd come close, though.
But I don't think they liked my analogy.
No, I don't think so.
I was really trying to be like, break it down for him of like, do you think they're going to be, oh, and then I think I said too, do you argue with your patient while they're asleep? Because that's all they would do.
Yes.
They would always just argue. And I'm
It was like circle.
instead of arguing, like, who's doing the let's get
Literally.
to, yeah.
Just get to the point. It was, they were so interesting.
Oh my God.
That
so
to
funny.
say, yeah, we've all had crazy clients, and we're thankful that we have each other because, I mean,
Right.
all the franchises like work together truly.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. In the success category, we had 1 million views on a
did.
video on Facebook.
We did. So I've decided now anything we post should just be bad. Because that's what people want to see. Like,
People want to see the disasters.
they do. I'm like, this is
Like-
terrible.
Like, y'all, the hate comments are like, why are you guys talking about bad things that happen on well, it's real.
That's what people wanna
love it.
see.
People
Yeah.
want to hear it.
So this was a wedding. It was, I think, our first big wedding of the year. And it monsooned the day before the wedding, but the tent was already set up.
Yeah.
So we show up, and I mean, there is like 50 pounds of water in this tent.
It was a
probably
clear
more.
tent, so
Clear
it
tent.
like it's
I'm surprised
plastic,
it didn't
so it
bust.
stretched like a plastic bag.
Yeah.
It looked like it wanted to.
And so we got like, obviously the guys pushing it out, and like when they pushed it out, it made a complete disaster.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it hit the rocks and the dirt and the mud, and it just went everywhere. So then we were, I don't even know, mopping the dance floor to
cleaning off the stage, like the stage
front,
facade.
Yeah, the front door.
Sweeping the ground because the ground was it was muddy, and everyone's walking in dresses.
There was a bird that got stuck in the tent. It wouldn't fly out.
Ryan was like there with a stick, like, come on, get out.
And the lady got mad because I was videoing. Thanks, lady. I'm glad I videoed it.
Yeah,
we got 1 million views.
It's always about the content.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
No, that was cool.
Like, thinking about 1 million people have seen that's crazy.
Right?
Even if they watched it over. I watched it quite a few times.
Same. It kept popping up.
And like 20 of those million views. So now we're going to kind of rattle off some of our favorite funny moments, crazy moments from the podcast, and also just in general. And there's no particular order, but it's all hilarious. So one of my personal favorites is Going Undercover.
Yeah, that was a good
with
one.
Sohan, and that was a recent episode that I hope you guys listen to. If you haven't, go listen.
Go listen to it.
It is hilarious, and it makes me so thankful. Kind of tying in another thing we did this year, we got recorders.
We did.
So
they came in really handy for like some cool reels and things.
Yeah.
There was a wedding. I don't really know what happened, but we were missing a whole table, and thankfully we caught it. And all the recording was how we spoke to the guests that they were sitting at Lucky Table 16, and how us and a team we didn't panic.
Together,
we were very cool, calm, collective, and grabbed the bridesmaid's bouquet for the centerpiece. We always rent extra linens and things
for that reason,
and we made it happen. So
yeah,
it was cool for that. But also, like for instance, the undercover thing of how other folks talk to my girls.
Yeah, what the heck?
Not cool.
You think she's not gonna go after you?
Yeah, sorry.
No, really, it's like there was like a last straw that a vendor was so horribly mean and degrading to Caroline, and you were like, that's it, we're getting body cams, because we would joke about it.
Yeah,
we were like, we need body cams, this shit is crazy, like you can't make this shit
like,
up.
She's exaggerating, there's no way this is happening.
No, it's so real.
Yeah,
like people say crazy stuff to us all the time.
Yeah, and it's just to protect us.
Yeah, and for like you said, training purposes and for funny content.
And in South Carolina it's legal, just so you know.
Yeah, so
only one person has to know that you're being recorded.
And it can be yourself.
That's right.
We learned that from an intern.
Oh, should we talk about that? Or no? Yeah, I don't care.
So
we can blame
tell them
it.
why you know that law.
Yeah, you want to know why I know that law? Because I record people? No, I'm kidding. So we had this lovely intern. We won't use any names. And one of past employees that worked here. Not really sure how this came about, but when you're an intern, if you work an event, I'll give you like Target gift cards or things like that. But you don't get paid. You're not on payroll. Like you're getting credits for your class. You're not replacing somebody else's job here as an employee. You're really here.
You're not full time. There's plenty of time for you to have another job.
And you're just a warm body at a wedding. We don't expect you to know how to like be the lead.
Yeah.
So there was 2 weddings that she worked with me, and she was different, and
right off the bat,
and I can't exactly remember exactly everything, but the past employee that worked here told her that she got paid and came up with a rate. Okay, well, no one gives anybody a rate of who's paying. The only person that's doing that is the person that's signing the check. Anyway, so this amount came about. I don't even know how much it was. So
something random.
Anyways, so the intern came to me and she was like, I want my money, or how do I get paid? I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. There must have been a miscommunication.
Yeah, no, she was trying to sign papers with Lynn or something. She's like,
that's
I need to set up
was.
my W-2 or something like that.
And no, you're not getting
like, why
paid.
do you need that?
Like, I'm so sorry. Like, you don't have to finish the internship. She only worked 2 weddings.
Yeah. What?
So she don't, And so I was like, I'm so sorry. You can turn in your uniform. Like, we wish you the best. Like, so sorry. Were you who was in the office?
We were all here.
We were all here.
Oh, Peyton wasn't here, but
Peyton, you
everyone
weren't
else was here.
It must have been a Friday. Friday. So anyways, that's what it was. She came to turn in her dress. And when she came to turn in her dress, she brought her dad.
And her boyfriend.
But the boyfriend didn't come in.
He didn't come in, but he was in the car.
And so it was definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows, I carry a gun everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So it was.
God.
It was within reach, and that's when I sat up there. And I remember they walked in, and I think she walked to my desk.
No, they both did.
They both did.
They walked in and were like, hey, she had her dress, whatever, and they like walked right past us and went right
And I
to
still think I
Sarah's
was
desk.
sitting down, and I was like, okay, I feel very unsafe.
It was
and everybody
threatening.
should use that word. If anything ever happens to you, you feel unsafe, you feel threatened, and that's why you need to kill them. Okay, I'm kidding. So anyway, so I get up because I want to get them back to the door.
Yeah.
And so in my mindsight or hindsight, whatever, I was like wanting to get them to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember. It was a few exchange words, and there, we were like, we're so sorry, like, sorry, blah, blah, blah. I wish you the best. And in that moment, he said, well, this won't be the end of it or something. And then something along the lines of we've recorded all of this.
Yeah.
And
Which
I just like,
if anything, it's more incriminating for them than for
yeah,
us.
I'm like, oh, okay, like, cool, there's cameras. We've recorded
Yeah.
you too. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking, okay. So at that point, I said, I feel unsafe. I said, you guys need to leave. And they made a comment about the recording. This is a one state something, like, I don't even know.
Oh, no, she literally knew
Word for word.
the word for word, the law, where, like, the number, it's like Carolina state, blah, blah, law number, blah,
12,
blah,
1,
like,
2, 3,
yeah,
whatever.
stated in this sanction or whatever. I don't know. She knew she was ready, like, rehearsed it in the mirror already.
No, totally. And I said, I think you guys need to leave. And so they left, and so I locked the door, and we called the police.
Yeah, we
I
did.
had a crazy feeling. Here he comes back to the door he started,
Dad came and banged on the door.
banged on the door, and I was like, oh, hell no, police are showing up. Mm-hmm. We're done. So police showed up. I don't know. I think they called him. Mm-hmm. And he said he wasn't coming back. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. So anyways, I think like 2 weeks go by, and wasn't one of the police officers kind of cute or something?
They were both cute, and they both loved us. They were really nice to us.
Anyways,
Just say it.
so then about 2 weeks later, they started showing up. Was it a police officer or like a person that serves paper?
It was a police officer.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm like, oh my God, this can I say bitch? This intern was trying to serve me and Allison papers. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm getting served papers. Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
I'm an intern.
From an intern. I was like, okay, cool. So we avoided them for quite a while because every time you serve somebody papers, it costs money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like run the bill up.
Yeah, make them do it multiple times.
I was nowhere to be found for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then finally he was like, can you please just meet me? He'd leave voicemails. Please meet me. So I met him, I think at the Bob Evans parking lot.
I was about to say it was something weird.
Yeah.
I was sketched out for you.
And so I met him. I got the papers. And the papers said that I owed her $300 and some for working 2 weddings.
So stupid.
And that I could go to court on this date. Or I could just pay it. So if someone sues you, you either pay it or you hire somebody to fight it. So I had to pay the intern $300 and some.
So stupid. She probably spent that much serving you papers for 3 weeks straight.
Oh, she probably did.
So stupid.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But thankful for her because then we knew that we could record
yeah. I only
whatever we
remember
wanted.
her name.
Me either. I keep wanting to say Stacy.
Oh,
but
that's what it was.
wasn't
When we
that.
looked them up, they lived in like 18 different places.
Oh yeah, we
Con
have
artists.
ways, and we looked up the dad's name and like phone number and whatever, and they had so many addresses and different cars to their name, and it was sketch as hell. Speaking of sketch, can I see the island? All of those people, that entire wedding was crazy.
Yeah, that was so crazy. You know what else was crazy? So that after that wedding happened, I got contacted by one of the ladies that was at the wedding to do their son's wedding in California.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but
Damn.
yeah,
I was going to
know.
say. Tune into that episode if you want to hear more about that crazy ass story.
Yeah.
An entire weekend. I'm so blessed that I was not there. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I've been traumatized in other ways since then, so we're kidding. We talked about our stalkers. We talked about our recorders. We could talk about how me and Eliza were invited to a local get-together for people in the industry. Mm-hmm. And while they're, speaking of recording, this is pre-recorder era, I just felt a weird vibe in the room.
But you recorded
And so I started recording
on your phone.
on my phone. Thank God I did, because the person sitting near me didn't know that I was with SMB, didn't know Eliza was with SMB, and started talking shit about Sara in front of me. And I recorded. I had long since been recording by the time she started. I remember texting Sara, 1, never going to something like this again, ever.
No.
2, listen to this. And I sent it to you, and you were like, what? Because, like, what? Be careful who you talk to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Careful near me, because I will record your ass.
That's right.
We filmed a podcast in New York, and I think you have a fun story to tell me that I'd never heard.
Yeah.
They were talking about
We
this a
almost
second
didn't
ago.
film a podcast. So we flew direct there, and we checked one bag, and that was the heavy bag with all the podcast equipment. And we're sitting at the little carousel thing. We're just waiting for it to come around. It never came out. I'm like, how in the hell? We took direct flight. Like, we didn't connect anything.
Only one piece of luggage.
And it said on the app it was there. And so we had to go, obviously, to the person to baggage claim. And they're like, nowhere to be found, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Put in lost baggage. Let me know when you find it. So, I mean, we were landing, and we were going to the studio to film. So it was a godsend. So I said, well, I guess we got to go buy more podcast equipment. And just so happened, when I Googled it on my phone, the place we bought it from was in New York City.
Oh, slay.
And I don't remember the name, but anybody that lives in New York City knows this place. It's like freaking Walmart on steroids of nothing but electronics. And they've got the coolest system. They got conveyor belts. They got everything.
Damn.
They got like 40 different lines.
Oh, I bet
to
Peyton
check
was
out.
just geeking out there.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
I bet she was.
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess buy whatever you want. Delta's paying for it. Anyways, Delta didn't end up paying for it, but long story short, so we get there, we filmed the podcast. I think we had a little trouble with a plug or something, but we figured it out.
And this is with all new equipment.
All new equipment.
Oh my
Well,
God.
same equipment, but
Right,
I
but
think
you had to rebuy it.
yeah, exactly. So long story short, we filmed the podcast. Everything's great. We pack up. Yeah, we didn't even have a luggage to put it back in. So the day goes by. I don't even remember what all we did that day. Went to dinner. Oh, we went for a party slate event.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it was when we got back from party slate or prior. Was it in that? It was that night. It was late, and I'd gotten a voicemail, and it was from this lady. We call her Attorney Karen.
God.
She leaves a voicemail. I'm so sorry. I picked up the wrong bag. I'm sorry. It was freaking heavy. It had
What?
this metal flap tag on it. Like, it's annoying that if it's yours, like, and so I literally called her back and I was like, what do you mean? So the time you took it off the conveyor belt, you drug it to your car, you got in your car, you took it out of your car, and you took it into your house, and then you opened it up and realized that like
What?
it was so heavy. She's like, I'm so sorry. So I said, can you just please ship it back to my address?
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'd already filed a claim with Delta. They were paying
Yeah,
for all
yeah.
the podcast equipment because I'd basically fronted all the money to get all these things.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, what do you do for a living? And she's like, I'm an attorney. And I literally said, well, you don't pay attention to details. And I would never hire you. Make a long story short.
So that's where, well, on the
on
phone.
the phone, I did. And you know what she did? She took that bag back to Delta. So
Oh
now
my
my
God.
claim is no good because
Asshole.
they have found the bag. So she drove from Long Island back to LaGuardia to drop off.
They didn't find it, though. They're lucky that someone gave it back.
Right? I was going to say when I got it back, it was empty, but I didn't.
Damn.
So.
You're a good person.
Yeah.
Good karma for that.
Karma for her. There's lots of karma out there right now.
There is. We're waiting for it to hit.
Right? So long story short, we got it back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Where's her bag? All her clothes.
Yeah, I don't know where
Also,
her bag was.
I never pull off my luggage and not, even if I have the most distinct like luggage in the
Yeah.
world, it's hot pink and it has my name on it, I'm still gonna check that it's mine. Just saying.
Yeah, and when you're rolling, I mean, it was heavy.
Yeah, it's full of this. This alone weighs like what, 10 pounds? I don't even
Yeah,
know.
more. Yeah.
More than that. Do you think you have anything else that's just took the cake this year that we can think of? Oh, Eric, one of our fave officiants.
Oh yeah.
We had a whole murder podcast.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It wasn't. But, I mean, it wasn't a whole murder podcast, but he told a story about a groom. It was an older couple. If you haven't watched the podcast or listened to it, go listen to it now. But it was an older couple that he did an elopement for. A couple weeks later, he gets a call from an FBI agent asking him for more information because the groom took the bride to a random place in the middle of the woods in the Appalachians and killed her.
That night. Same day.
And the last person on her phone that she had called was their officiant because they had gotten married that day.
Married. It was
Crazy.
So crazy.
It was crazy.
Whoa.
One of my favorite podcast moments was with Jackie and Lauren when they talked about balls.
Oh, yeah.
Sweaty balls.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. We were thinking of things to talk about. I was like, we got to mention the sweaty balls.
Right. I remember when Hannah it was her first episode, we gave her a shot of, I don't know, tequila or vodka or something.
She was nervous, so she had a whole shot of vodka. It was a good episode, too.
Well, this is our happy birthday segment, obviously.
Happy birthday podcast.
Happy birthday.
I love you.
And thanks to Peyton again for all 50 episodes.
She puts in a lot of work, and it's always so funny and fun.
And be sure to follow us on their Instagram podcast for This Takes the Cake, so you can look at all the fun memes. So.
Yeah, and follow us, our normal account on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Look at our new website that we talked about.
L14.
Everything.
Awesome.
L14 website.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
For 50 more.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.